we are going to, and this is going to be quick, y'all, because I want to get to some of the music reviews, but we are going to talk about bots. So y'all saw the title of the video. This is really the main event. Spotify recently came out with a new set of rules for their platform, which a lot of y'all have heard of. The new threshold rule that you have to get 1,000 streams on a song for it to start to generate revenue. And this was really sending a wave throughout the music community where a lot of artists were upset because they didn't think they'd be able to reach the threshold, and they thought, you know, Spotify was taking their money. But one of the things that I think a lot of people and a lot of artists in the community weren't talking about is well, let me just read it. What Spotify said they were going to do when it comes to bots and fraudulent streams on their platform. So this is the article by Billboard. Y'all check this out. I just want to read a couple of parts of it because this is an old article and y'all have heard me read this before. But anyway, let's scroll down and see what they're saying here. Spotify's changes are going to help us deliver on that goal. These new policies acknowledge, well, let me go back because this is the CEO of Believe talking. The changes confirmed today in Spotify's blog, which features breakdowns and why they've been actioned, are welcomed by a string of music industry figures. Believe welcomed Spotify's initiative to clean up the market from artificial streaming and noise. So noise tracks being like ocean sounds, static noise. A lot of people use that to fall asleep, I guess, and they have it playing while they're sleeping. Driving more revenue to all legitimate artists. So not AI artists, Smokey would say. Comments Dennis, the founder and CEO of Believe. We believe that creating more benefits to develop up and coming artists would be a great complement to the institution of a 1,000 stream threshold. We're encouraged by our current dialogue with them on this topic. All right, here we go. So we're going to get into what the changes were. So Spotify's changes are going to help us deliver on that goal. These new policies acknowledge the simple truth that improving outcomes for artists goes beyond demanding bigger payouts from the DSPs, as Kristen, I don't know how to say her last name, so I'm not going to read it, president of STEM. And I'm going to be reading super chats shortly too. I know we had super chats come in, so I did not forget about y'all. All three of Spotify's new mechanisms redirect funds that currently sit on the balance sheet of distributors or land with bad actors back to the artists we serve. So basically what was happening before they made this threshold rule is if my son made a remix of Mary Had a Little Lamb and he signed up for DistroKid, he put the song out onto DistroKid, and I'm walking through the house, I'm streaming the song, I play it 5 times, 10 times, I share it with the rest of the family, they stream it, and it gets 100 streams. Spotify would have to then pay the distributor for those 100 streams of that song. So the distributor would have all this money, but as we all know, 100 streams, what does that equal in the Spotify world? I think 3 cents, I want to say 3 cents, or maybe 0.3 cents. Lord, I don't even want to talk about it. Anywhere between 0.003 streams and or 0.003 cents and 3 cents. I'm not sure. Y'all can do the math. Anyway, excuse me. So what would happen is Spotify would have to pay out on that song. They would pay it to the distributor, but the distributor would say, hey, sorry, Lil Classy Beats, we're not paying you on your Mary Had a Little Lamb remix because you have to hit a threshold of $100 before you can cash out. So basically Spotify was paying the distributors, and then the distributors were keeping that money in your pocket until that song reached that threshold, or you hit the threshold of $100. Now what Spotify is doing is they're saying, distributors, we're not going to pay you anymore for every time a song gets streamed. We're going to pay you once a song hits 1,000 streams. So obviously the distributors, they're not happy about this. They're probably going to be the ones that are hurting the most. But it's a win for Spotify because they don't have to continue to bleed money by paying my son for his Mary Had a Little Lamb remix. So let's keep going and see what a couple of the terms were. It says under the new model touted by Spotify, tracks that receive less than 1,000 streams, which we just talked about, within the 12-month period will not qualify for royalties. Those royalties instead will be redistributed into the greater royalty pool. So basically anybody who has 1,000 or anybody who has 1,000 streams on the song will get paid out of that money that's not being paid to people who only got 999 streams. Also, and this is, I think it's so funny that nobody's really talking about this. And I think it's because most people know and understand what's going on with Spotify and the music industry in general. It also says labels and distributors will be charged 10 euros. So just over, oh man, my thing's about to crash. Just over $10 for any track that is found to have 90% or more of its streams deemed fraudulent. Yeah, Cut Deep is asking for the link. I'll drop it in the chat right now. I got you, Cut Deep. So guys, and I used this example before, and hopefully I can make this come across better. I don't know why my thing's trying to crash. I'm sorry, y'all. But anyway, I used this example before. If the speed limit on the interstate is 89, I'm sorry. If the speed limit on the interstate is 89, and you know you're going to get a ticket if you go 90. The law is if you go 1 mile per hour over 89, you're going to get a ticket. Are you guys going to drive 65? Are you going to drive 70? Are you going to drive 75? Are you going to drive 89 miles per hour? I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm driving 89 miles per hour. Cut Deep says he's driving 100. He said, I'm going to pay the ticket. Oh, man. Cut Deep said, I don't give a I don't care. I'll pay the ticket. That ticket is nothing. $10 to labels and distributors. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen is, let me say this. Smoking the One says, but 90 is pretty high. 80 should have been the limit. I know, but you get the point. Hollywood Co said he's going 94 miles per hour. Heath Latin says, however fast I want to roll. Yeah, so it's interesting to see that they put this at 90%, because if they're saying, okay, we're going to set the limit of 90%, what does that say about the songs that are out there, especially since they're targeting labels and distributors? If they're saying 90%, you guys, we're limiting you to 90%. So you can pick a number anywhere between 1% and 89% of the streams that aren't legitimate, in my opinion. To me, if I'm a label, I'm going to push as far as I can, and I'm going to go to that 89%, because not only does it generate more money for them, which is really why Spotify is trying to cut back on this, but it also makes their artists look good. It helps them generate more off of the future songs, generate more on past songs, and it helps push them in the Spotify algorithm. So I'm just surprised that nobody's talking about this, and it's something that most people who are serious in the community know and understand, that record labels, not only do they have a big influence and a big hand into what goes on Spotify specifically, but they're using a lot of tactics that some people preach against to push their artist music. So let me see. I want to make sure we're good on time. There's one more video I want to show you guys, and I think it's just a few minutes, and y'all may have heard of this before, or you may have seen this video because I did mention it before. So it's Yeah, it's definitely something interesting, something for y'all to think about. So first of all, I got to give a big shout out to DJ Payne One. DJ Payne One, y'all may know, multi-platinum producer, super dope artist. He uploads his beats and music to YouTube, to a lot of the platforms you guys use to record. But he also has a YouTube channel and he has a podcast that he does. And this podcast episode specifically is from a few months ago. And like I said, I covered it sometime last year and talked about it on an older show that I was doing. But I want to bring this back because the guest that he had on this show is a guy named Chad Focus. Now, Chad Focus, y'all may have heard of. He was a recording artist, and then he worked his way up through the ranks, was working for a marketing company, and ended up becoming this big marketer for a lot of multi-million-dollar companies. And then he ended up going to jail. He got accused of, I believe it was using company money for his own gain or something around that area. And he spent some time in jail, but he also was working for these companies and helped them use some of the tactics that Spotify is talking about and that other advertisement platforms talk about to push the companies. And he also used it to help grow his music career too. So he talks about it a little bit on this episode, and I really want to go through it and kind of let y'all hear what he's saying and his thought process, and see what you guys think about what Chad is saying about how Spotify works, how using bots works, because he's been able to build a network of, I guess, systems, I should say, that helps him game the system, get his music promoted. And I think it's just an interesting concept. So y'all let me know what you think in the chat. Cut Deep says, hey, I watch him. Yeah, a lot of y'all may have heard of Chad Focus. He's a brilliant marketer for sure. And he's got definitely an interesting take on the whole bot situation. So let's check this out. And also the link to this podcast episode will be in the description of the video. And also, this is DJ Payne one of his co-hosts on the podcast. This is Erin Knight. Y'all definitely go check her out too. Erin's doing some crazy stuff. She's actually here in Atlanta too. So shout out to them.
Create a snowball. So what you're seeing happen with Chad Focus is the kid comes out and says he makes $70K with Spotify bots. I don't say how, why, what's going on, but that right there was enough to trigger an actual algorithm. That has put that in front of everybody's eyes. I have over 90,000 shares in the last 2 months alone. I got over 50 million views. If you think about what that would cost to do an organic campaign, that's a multi-million-dollar campaign of going viral. I'm a young.
Yeah, so he's in the mix. He's doing it. He's created music. He's been creating music. I think while he was in prison, and now that he's out, and he's still using the same systems that he was using before to continue to push his music career.
Guy that just left prison as the scammer that came back home and hasn't released new music and is the talk of the music industry. Reels work, all right? Taking segments from a long form piece of copy, which is we're going to do an interview for an hour, 2 hours. Brandman Network has two 2-minute clips, 2 1-minute clips that has changed their lives. And these guys are marketers. I love Corey. I love Sean. When have you guys ever gone viral before Chad Focus came on the platform? And our job is to help other people go viral. So shouldn't we be going viral? Shouldn't that be a part of the case study? The reels work. Saying things that are true and it being a headline, not clickbait, but an actual quote, that works. All right? Facts work. Me saying 200 songs, guys, I got a catalog. 3,000 streams per day less allows you to stay under the threshold. That's me talking.
So this is an interesting part, but yeah, let's chat Focus, Heath Latin. Locked in. He said, sorry, professor. Let me run this part back real quick, because this is an interesting part.
Facts work. Me saying 200 songs, guys, I got a catalog. 3,000 streams per day less allows you to stay under the threshold. That's me talking about data. This isn't like me making this up. This is about you guys go try that. How do I know?
Okay, so what he's saying here is he's saying 3,000 streams helps keep you under the threshold. That threshold he's talking about is a threshold. It's not known to the general public, but the threshold is how many streams you can get that are inorganic, I'm trying to think of a way to say this because I don't want to use the F word, but that aren't organic before you hit their alert system. And chat, he's going to go on to say the way he was able to do this. And it's like y'all know, with anything, you can figure out where the limits are if you test it enough and push it. Like I was saying with that 89-90%, you can add streams onto something and then see, okay, at this point it got taken down. So then you can go back to the drawing board. And this is basically what Chad's talking about.
Because I've had my records flagged by Spotify, and they let me know that 3,000 or 10,000 records is when they have their automation detection check to see if this record is actually getting the real traction. They only do it to non-mainstream artists, because if you're mainstream, it's more possible for you to go ahead and get 3,000 streams per track per day. So if you understand what's going on, this is discrimination on an actual technical level, guys.
Yeah, and it's all about ratios too. It's the same thing with YouTube. All these platforms use those systems to determine whether it's organic or whether it's something that's artificial. Just like, y'all have seen it. You've seen somebody that's had maybe 100 followers on SoundCloud, and then they have like 3 strong songs that have 150,000 streams. It's like, come on, man. There's no way. And that's basically what he's talking about.
And once I figured it out, I said, look, let me go ahead and put this out here. I own publishing of major artists. I own publishing of independent artists. I run campaigns for both. And I see the disparities between the both. And I'm giving you guys the game. As far as what I'm doing right now, Aaron, the algorithm that you guys see that I'm tweaking right now, I got the biggest bot network in the world. That's really why they wanted to put me in prison, guys, because I control influence.
Yeah, you give me a budget. I've talked about this too.
Whether you're a politician, whether you own a certain product, whether you got a song, whether you're an Ice Spice, and I'll make Munch the #1 shit in the world. That's what they see and they know right now.
That's another name. Y'all don't use that name in the chat either. Yeah, so Hollywood Code, that one you said earlier, and that one. Sheesh.
Because I'm making my stuff #1 right now, guys, with no budget and owing somebody millions of dollars of restitution. What does that mean for these type of creators? What does exposure mean for the people that are trying to look at what we do? So they're missing that point, Aaron, that I figured out the algorithm is influence. I figured out a way to get people to share and to have a conversation. And it's the elephant in the room where one guy, like I said, is taking on a role that I feel like a Barry Bonds should have took.
Yeah, I got you.
Which is, I'm on my Jose Canseco, but I'm not throwing nobody else under the bus. I'm just saying, look, either you guys can come and join me, or you can stand on the sidelines and just continue to call me, and I'm gonna still get money because I'm running campaigns for your biggest and your best and your favorites. And they want to tweak the algorithm so they can get more bang for their buck. So
yeah, and this is, now I'm not going to, guys, I've tried and experimented with everything you could think of when it comes to marketing music. So I get what Chad's saying. The one thing I'll say this, the one thing that I've seen in this whole process is consistency. And it's like I say with everything else. So one, you don't want to promote something that's working. So however you decide to promote it, you don't want to promote something that's not working. So if you have, before you think about promoting something, especially before you start thinking about spending money on promoting something, I personally don't promote something that I don't know isn't working. So it's more of that way it's more of an acceleration versus just pushing something out there. Because I think to play that, I just want to push this out there game, you have to spend so much money to get in front of such a wide net of people that for the average independent artist, it's just not going to be worth it for you to just be like, okay, I just made a song, let me push it out there. So it's better for you to, and again, this is just, I won't say it's better for you because you guys can try and do whatever you want to, but in my opinion, it's better for you to consistently create, consistently put out music, consistently put out content, and you see something that's working, you double down on that, and then you can promote that. To me, that's just going to be the best use of your time, best use of your energy, the best use of your money. But I will say, even when it comes to, excuse me, this game that Chad Focus is talking about, the place where most people struggle, especially when you're putting money behind something and behind promotion, and if you're using the techniques he's talking about, is also the consistency. So you can't just throw $100 at a song and then, sit there and wait and be like, oh, is the song going to blow up? No, it's usually, in most cases, and I know a lot of advertising and marketing platforms will say $5 a day, but you have to do it consistently. You have to keep pushing and promoting consistently. It's just not like a one-time thing where you pay and then it just completely explode. So I think that's where a lot of artists run into trouble, is they think, oh, okay, I'm going to put $100 on this promotion and then it should blow up, right? No, you have to consistently and constantly be promoting, just like you have to consistently and constantly be pushing and creating your music. So something to think about.
Everybody wants the sauce, and I'm the sauce.
So I'm trying to run the numbers here, and 200 songs in a catalog. And they're each getting, let's say, 2,999 streams each every day, based on which I think this is a problematic number. But if we're talking about $0.004 per stream, which is kind of the accepted royalty rate per stream, which it isn't.
Yep.
And you know that.
But
based on that number, we're looking at about $2,400 a day, which is amazing money. And that can,
a lot of money.
A lot of people were critical of that, saying, well, that's not how, the bots can't show up to your concert. And it's like, listen, if I'm making damn near $2,500 a day, do you know what I can do? That's financial freedom.
They're not thinking.
They're not thinking. But in addition to that, you're talking about all these other components, because clearly when you're talking about reels, et cetera, and this is something, minus the bots, automation aside, right? Everything you said, even if someone doesn't implement any sort of automation, that is solid advice for artists. And a lot.
Yeah. And DJ Pain One's absolutely right. Just because there's so many tools out there that you guys can use. I know ManyChat is a great one. And a lot of these platforms will actually, excuse me, guys, 1 second. A lot of these platforms will allow you to use certain bots, certain AI tools to control, automate your content, automate comments. I've used ManyChat before, which is a great tool to reply to comments. A lot of y'all, when you've commented, a lot of y'all have seen when you comment on some of my posts on Instagram or the Song of the Night live posts, you'll not only get a comment back, but then you'll also get a DM with a link to maybe an upcoming live stream. So there are a lot of platforms that will allow you to use certain bots. So bots aren't all around bad, but depending on the platform, there are certain rules that you could break and be going against that might get you in trouble. So Smoking the One said, drop the link to this. Yeah, shout out to DJ Pain One. I got the link in the chat, and the link will be in the description of this video as well. But let me see what y'all are saying. We'll keep going with the video, and then we'll get into some music reviews. MuseMind said, I run CPM ads on Google's for my Spotify to generate traffic to the song that I am promoting. Yep, I do this. I've done the same thing, and I do the same thing. The cost per click is 0 to 1 cent, or 1 cent to 3 cents. If you run it on Spotify, it's 34 cents a click. Yep. And then he said, why would I run an ad on Spotify itself if I can do it on Google at a fraction of the cost? Because you don't get to control as much who is seeing your ad. So if you run an ad on Spotify, people on Spotify are looking for a new music to listen to. It is possible, but it takes a lot more effort and a lot more upfront money to get your ads to that low of a CPM and to also get your ads shown to the right person. So I think that's a lot of the benefit you have to running ads on Spotify, is you get a very specific targeted audience, and you don't have to spend all this time and money experimenting and trying things and seeing, which audience is going to work for you, which demographic's going to work, what age is going to work. That on Spotify, those people are there to look for and listen to music. So that would be the biggest thing for me. Anyway, let's keep it going.
A lot of artists, again, aren't thinking in terms of organic reach. You're hitting it from both angles, because the brand man stuff, that's organic. There are no bots involved. You're just
Nope.
putting out content that people want, and you're framing it in the way that attracts them and that gets them boosted in the algorithm completely organically.
Put it like this, right? I say 600,000 streams a day. If we just talking about math, like you said, Payne's doing the math. There's streaming calculators out there, guys, for you to do the math. I'm the one guy that's talking about the fucking math. Excuse my language. Like, let's have a conversation about, like you said, 0.003. It's 0.003 fifths of a penny. They ain't paying us shit. All right. So how you guys going to use your leverage? Snoop Dogg was just on the actual platform talking about, I got 1 billion streams and I'm not making no money from 1 billion streams. But Snoop, what does the ownership look like that you signed over?
Y'all don't give away ownership to your music, please. Please. We just talked about it yesterday with Nick D. There's no reason that you cannot do this as an independent artist. It might take more time, it might take more frustration, and it's definitely going to take more effort, but you guys don't give away the rights to your music. You don't have to. It's 2024. It's the year of the Mamba. Y'all can do this. You can have ownership and put the music out there and get it to the right people on your own. Just remember that, man. Smokey says never. Yeah, good.
Or
Smokey.
what you are going to get from that 1 billion streams. That's the conversation. So we know 1 billion streams makes $4 million, but maybe you only getting 20% of that $4 million. All right. Maybe if you owned 100%, 1 billion streams would be $4 million sent right to your TuneCore. If you look at what Russ is doing, guys, and why he's genius, he built up his catalog. He went and took the leverage to the actual fucking record labels, guys. They built them and made them famous. He put out some #1 hits. He retained ownership to the publishing, and now he cashes out TuneCore every single month, guys, because he's famous. He got a fan base. He leveraged the system.
Yeah, and Nick D is actually taking it to the next level. So Nick D actually saw what Russ did and was like, man, I can still do everything Russ did and push my music and keep all my money without even signing the record deal. So Nick D, Connor Price, LaRussell. I mean, LaRussell turned down $1 million deal with, what was it, Rockefeller, I think? I have to go back. And we're going to be talking about LaRussell a little bit later. But yeah, can y'all imagine if Russ had just continued to fund his own? I mean, that's crazy.
And he gives you the game. And what does he say that everybody gets mad at him for, Payne? I write, produce, own, engineer, mix, and master. And everybody's like, damn, yes, guys, I kept it all in-house. I own everything. What they don't talk about with Chad Focus, I built my own record label. I'm from Baltimore. I taught myself music and publishing, guys. I do my own copyright, my own admin, my own sound exchange, my own song trust. I got digital radio, internet radio. I understand advertising. I've been doing AdWords. I monetized every last piece of the game, guys, and taught myself. I went in all of these meetings, guys, and figured this out. If I do 1 million streams, which Payne, you could type in Chad Focus Spotify charting and see that in 2017, bro, I was top 200 in Spotify. I was making $4,000 a day.
Jeez.
Easy. This is facts. I built my own video game app. I connected the API key from Spotify to my video game. I automated the bots to download my game on real platforms. Every time I have a minute, I got 2 streams. 2 streams allows me to make 1 penny. So I create formulas that make sense. Guess what? The record labels aren't going to put me on Madden and NBA 2K. I'm not getting no sync licensing deals. I don't got no friends at Xbox and PlayStation. But I can go on Fiverr, guys, build an app, put it on the Google Play Store, put it on the Apple Play Store, and I can use the technology to make it work for myself.
All right, I'm gonna let y'all go watch the rest of the interview. But y'all hear all that he's saying. It's just gonna take work. You just gotta try. You just gotta put in the effort. Everything he's saying takes so much work. And it's crazy to me. I think I saw something that Rap posted on IG, and they said these are the top artists that the top artists on TikTok that you should pay attention to or that you should watch. And it was like Charlie Puth and 2 other signed artists. I love Charlie Puth. He's an amazing vocalist, amazing producer. But of course, all 3 of them have record labels. I was like, how is Nick D and Connor Price not on this list? And that's because when you get to this point, you do it independently. They're not going to want to promote you because that doesn't benefit them, because everything's intertwined and they're all connected, and it's all about the business at the end of the day. So just know, guys, nobody's going to do it for you on this journey. You got to do it yourself. I think somebody was saying earlier, I think it was Heath Lattin, about building a team. You're going to have to continue to push it yourself until you get to a place to where you're generating enough, or you're making money for something on the side or from your main job to put into it, so that way you can continue to grow your team and push out more and more and more music, more and more and more content, and capitalize off of not only these platforms but the algorithms, and know and understand how you can use that to grow your fan base.